under. First,
It's 107.1. It's WTLZ Saginaw with Steve Harvey in the morning. It's simply the best R&B all day. It's everywhere. Your smartphone, in your car, to work, or live at KissWTLZ.com. We're Kiss 107.1.
Well, good evening, Saginaw, and welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. I'm so glad to have you guys with us on today. I'm praying that old man Winter finds his summer resting place and that we can get into some warmer weather. I'm excited to be in the studio. I got my main man, the Rob Father, with us on today. He will give us a short shout out as he is moving and making things happen. Rob, give a shout out to the people.
What's up, Saginaw? It'll be a madhouse in here sometimes.
He's in here moving and shaking. I wish y'all could see. There's two shows that's going on. The one that happens on the radio and the one that's in the studio.
Yeah, studio. Don't go in the radio. It's scary back here.
Hey, I want you guys to like, tag, and share this conversation. We're going to talk today. Something was brought to my attention on this past week, which personally affects me and it personally affects residents and a community I greatly care about. We're going to talk about the rezoning of that green zone that's taking place over there. That's that space above north of 675. There's about 375 acres of that. They're now going to rezone. So you let your family know we're getting ready to have a conversation. I say that it's under the shroud of darkness because really I don't think they've done an adequate job of really talking to folks who have a say in what matters in that community. And so we're going to talk about that today. Y'all get in here. We're going to have that conversation. Big bro, Jeff Bulls, I appreciate you and others for reaching out saying, yo, did you know what the city's trying to do in your neighborhood? So let's have that conversation. I'm going to be very plain. As a matter of fact, I went back and pulled up some former city planning meetings that I saw here, as well as some press conferences or some news media that was out there. Because once you put it in film or in print, hey, you can't take it back. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what they were saying then, what they're saying now, and what's going on. Shout out to all of my people out there at First Ward Community Center. Those of you who are here as I'm transitioning to what's on my mind. Those of you who were part of the First Ward Community Center fundraising season radio kickoff with Kiss WTLZ. I want to give a shout out to Mark Thomas, and your afternoon girlfriend, Yvonne Daniels, and Paige B. You guys are absolutely amazing on yesterday, coming out and supporting, giving that shout out to the community center. First Ward is the oldest standing, operational, functioning community center in the city of Saginaw, pushing. Oh man, you almost messed me up, Alicia. Okay, you said DJ really. Okay, God bless you. I love you, Alicia, down there in India, and I'm glad you're listening. Y'all get the people in this. We're gonna have a real conversation about this zoning commission and what's going on. Because if it happened in this area, it's gonna happen in your area soon enough. Because the land grab has begun. So y'all get ready for this. But I want to get once again, First Ward Community Center went absolutely amazing. It was great to see the community coming out. And I just want to say Yvonne Daniels, Paige B, Mark Thomas, and Ralph Martin. Ralph, you were out there being the man about town community guy. I believe you are the president for the African American Cultural Festival that will be taking place. We often call it the Black Arts Festival. I'm not sure if that's the correct naming of it, but you are the head for this year's show, and I'm excited because you've done such a great job working with our fire departments, and so we look forward to it. And thank you for your support on yesterday. To the First Ward board, everybody that was out there, and the staff. You guys were absolutely amazing. Mr. Rogers is my guy. Shout out to you, Mr. Rob Brown. You're doing a great thing, and just having that time to connect with your passion about what's happening in that First Ward community. 10 years of service there, that speaks a lot of your desire. And I'll tell you this, there are a lot of people who may come with greater credentials. There may be people with greater degrees and have had, a better resume experience. But one thing that you cannot teach when it comes to our young people is passion. And my brother, you got it. I appreciate it so much. And Miss Corinne, you are over there working in your fingers to the bone. We certainly thank all of you. I got to give a shout out to my own mama. It was right here on this radio station as we were talking about the First Ward Community Center radio event coming up, that my mother was in the stream, and I found out that she was actually a First Ward recipient. She put her application for General Motors in, got hired, and my life was impacted in that way. I didn't even know that. And she went on to have a great career with General Motors. She volunteered on that day to operate and run the Taste of Soul. Now, I know my mama can cook, y'all, but she pulled some of the best folks out there. She put some of the best people out there, some of the cooks, Maddie. I don't even want to get to name them because there were so many of them. I know Yvonne has a list of them. She's going to be talking about them throughout the week, so I don't want to steal her thunder. And then lastly, but not least, I want to give a shout out to my Dow Treasure Academy students. Jeff Bulls, I hear you. My Dow Treasure Academy students who are out there. You guys did amazing programming. Many people did not see what you were doing if they were coming in and only remained on the first floor, but so many parents came down. And those young people, which is a group of all ninth graders that I've been working with since November, and they'll be with me for 3 additional years, they were in there, and we had some issues that were going on. So we had a coding instructor teaching them code through code.org and some other entities. They were teaching young people how to code, and these were K through 6. So our ninth graders were working with our code instructors, and then they took over and they did a legacy reading event in the First Ward Community Center Library. And I saw under the Black experience, I saw Black excellence take place. These young people were reading books, one about Stevie Wonder, Legacy of Saginaw, and then also about Venus Williams and how they became great. And so this was a great occasion. It was art programs. They were doing pet rocks and coloring and creating wristbands. And then they even served those young people and made sure they cleaned up after them. So great job to everybody that was a part of that event. Yes, Jeff Bulls, I see you out there. Hey, actions speak louder than words. And so when a video speaks everything. Jamie Forbes, I see you out there. I want to just say, glad you're talking about this event, sir. Keep in mind that area they're looking to change isn't the entire green zone. Yes, it's only a portion. I also don't know the other implications of the green zone designation has been reversed. Our bank's loaning is the bank selling side lots. How can we repair the damage this policy has done, continues to do? What if we offered home repair dollars and no interest as a part of our ARPA or other funds? These are some things and suggestions that are coming in. Y'all get into this conversation because we're going to have it. Continuing, I want to continue with what's on my mind real quick before we jump heads first into that conversation. ARPA funds, as what Ms. Forbes was just talking about, I am aware and I was told that the ARPA funds committee has been meeting. And so now they have been out there, and I guess they've come up with some ideas. There's some ideas that I guess the ARPA Commission now is going to plan and to present some things before City Council, which is really interesting because I got, I was just listening and I came into the studio, and those of you listen, and I'm not being messy, I'm being honest, all right? And though this is called straight talk, and so y'all know how I do, I gave it to you straight, no filter, no chaser. And I'm not afraid to be authentically honest. And when it comes to my community, I'm going to be about my community. And so there was a situation, one of the councilmen reached out to me and wanted to come in. This is probably a couple weeks ago, and talk about the ideas that have come into the city council. And let me tell you what my flavor is on this. I think that we've lived with a council that has been divided, that has provided less than what the city is usually used to. I'm talking about historically. There's been more fighting and bickering and infighting than really assistance for our community. So let me tell you what I'm not going to do. What I'm not going to do is be a party to anybody coming in. I don't know if it's for personal fame or personal desire, or you wanting to climb the corporate ladder or the political ladder, or what your aspirations are. Do not contact me with foolishness. And so, there are some people out there that I certainly believe. This particular young man, I think he has his own personal agenda. Oftentimes, I'm just not liking the way people operate. I think that if you are a council, then you move as a body. And you may not necessarily particularly agree with everyone that's going out there. Now, I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm not going to say your name in this moment. But then, I come in and I see you, hustling those same things in other places. And it doesn't look as though your hope or your desire is to really bode well and work well as a council. Now, I know there will be disagreements as you work with council individuals, but we have put you in that position and elected you in that position because we have a desire or a belief. Those who you represent, your constituents, believe that your desire is to work best with the city and to make great things happen for the city. So if you're running around trying to do private interviews and, I'm not bringing anybody on this show once again just to tell one half of the story. And so my offer is to anyone who would like to talk about what's happening with ARPA, anyone on the city council that would like to come in and have a conversation about what the city is doing right or wrong, I want to let's bring in our city manager, our mayor, let's bring in someone who's on the other side of that conversation, and let's talk about it for real, all right? We're not pushing personal agendas. It's about making sure that our city finally gets on the right track, and that's what I'm about. So your messages will remain unanswered in my inbox if not positioned in the right way, and I do that in hopes of making sure that as we give information, that we're giving whole stories and all information, and not doing one-sided of these conversations. So I'm off my soapbox on that one. Let's move right ahead. And I had that person's name in my notes, Rob, but I chose to be nice and to refrain. So thank you so much. I think it was just your presence in here that told me don't throw them out there under the bus. But I'm not
about drama. So
that's what I'm saying. So,
don't do drama needlessly,
There you go.
Otherwise you'd be forced to finish it.
There you go, Rob. That's that. Thank you, Rob, for shining some light on me. I just felt something different up in here. But anyways, I want to turn real quick to the Russia's war on Ukraine. This is weeks into this conflict. Rob, what are you saying? What are you thinking? Where are we going with this?
I really don't know. In my back of my mind, I'm thinking that we will eventually get involved. If they keep progressing towards Poland, if Mr. Putin has that aspiration in mind to go towards a NATO country, we will have to get involved because we have no choice but to get involved, which means we'll be involved as a result of the Ukraine war. So everything's up in the air right now, especially because as Russia is getting its butt kicked on the ground, they're going to go to flight. And flight, you got flight, you got everything. And when they go to flight, we have no choice but to go to flight.
It's really crazy. I watched our president, and I need y'all, listen, Black America, we tend to turn the radio when we get to this kind of stuff. I need y'all to lean in for 1 second, okay? Because this stuff is gonna have the biggest impact initially probably on you over anybody else. As with every major campus, every major catastrophe or every pandemic that has expressed all of the things that are going on, you got to understand that underserved communities, those impoverished communities, are going to be the ones that suffer the most. Now, this is why this becomes important to you. Thousands of people are being killed. There's a propaganda campaign happening on both sides of this argument. And, Russia is, they're pulling out the Hitler-style propaganda
and censorship.
And censorship, absolutely. It's serious. You don't hear anything that what's on state TV. So there was a great example of that. There was a young man that went out to talk to, he contacted his father. He lived in Ukraine. He had moved to Ukraine. His father lived in Russia, and his father was like, the only thing they get is state-censored TV. He's 50-some years old, and his son was like, Dad, there's a war going on. No, there's not a war. There's just military exercises. They're gritting that. He would not even believe his son's like, Dad, I'm seeing them. They're babies and women. No, it's not happening. We see pictures that there's obviously a war going on. And so this is such a sad thing when people can continually say something. And we've got to be willing to trust what people do, not what they say. Even when they tell you that they're for your community, I'm for the community, I'm for the people, I'm for the people. If their actions don't line up with the words, or even in the case of city council, if their votes are not lined up with what the community needs, then you know what side of that coin they're on, right?
By the way, they're shutting down social media over there and punishing people who access that. It's important to remember that the Voting Rights Act in this country has to be passed and pushed for and championed, because what happened in another country can happen here. I know we talked about that last week about guns and whatnot.
Absolutely.
But without the power to vote, nothing means nothing. Democracy is nothing. Period.
Absolutely. And we see by the events of what happened, last year on January 6th, that it is a very fragile balance that democracy is. And so now we're sitting in a place. Let me tell you why this is important to you. So the power of propaganda is in full swing. They just recently bombed a air base that is 13 miles away from Poland. So, shooting missiles and dropping missiles out of the sky, it is science, but it is not an exact science. And we often see that bombs or missiles, they end up in places that were not intended, civilian areas, whatever. So to be bold enough to shoot and to drop missiles on an air base that's only 13 miles from a NATO member's border is it's bold, Rob. and so this is what's going on. So we saw that take place. We're talking about Poland's border. And so Homeland Security has already begun to issue out, and y'all got to pay attention to this stuff because we respond after. We're always responding instead of being proactive about things. But Homeland Security has sent out some notifications telling American citizens to have a disaster preparedness strategy and pact, not necessarily for bombs hitting our country, but in the case that there is a cyber attack on our systems. And we have seen and shown as the United States that we are vulnerable when it comes to cyber attacks, and
we rely on it heavily.
And I know that we have some of the greatest programmers and things, but if you
you rely on it heavily. I'm 62 years old, so I know how to survive.
No, I do rely on it heavily, but what I want to say is that when you're planning, and I don't think that this is something that just happened. I think that this has been a plan. So their plan and their focus has been to go to war. And when you plan on something, you are thinking, feverishly on how I can become the best at it and how I can set up systems to destroy things. And so a cyber attack against the United States is highly possible. All right. So we want to make sure get some cash out of the bank if you got some, because what happens is when that disaster hits and we already see prices are going up, who's being most effective first by these gas prices?
Middle income people and poor.
Folks who are already struggling, people who are trying to climb out of the effects of the pandemic are now being hit with skyrocketing gas prices. Inflation is through the roof. Went to the store to get some eggs. Once again, I don't know what's going on with eggs, but the price of everything is going through the roof. And that means, they can give you more help or whatever substance. But when it comes to an issue of us versus them, they're always going to choose us, not us, but them. So I want to make sure that we're paying attention to what's going on out there. It's so very important. Now, I'm going to turn. This is 17 after. I'm here at this space a little sooner than I normally am, Rob. If we need to take a commercial break before we get into this conversation,
let's do that before you get into
let's do that. And we're going to come back and we're going to jump right into this topic of rezoning of that 365-acre portion of the green zone, which was supposed to be to let it go back and nature take its course, now being rezoned. And your boy that's on the mic is directly impacted, as are other people that I care about. We're going to talk about how this is happening. It's happening under the shroud of night. Postcards as a way to inform people what's going on. Come on, City Planning Commission. You got to do better than that. We'll be back with more Straight Talk. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
When you're looking for all your family's needs in one trip, Meijer has you covered. This week, small avocados are 99 cents each. Purple Cow ice cream is $3 during Dollar Days. And Campbell's condensed scoop is only $1. Plus, save yourself a trip. For a limited time, Meijer Home Delivery is only $2.95 on orders of $35 or more. Discount automatically applied to checkout. Get low Meijer prices in one easy trip during our Dollar Days sale. Exclusions apply. See all the deals in the Meijer app.
Join Planet Fitness now through March 16th and get the PF Black Card for zero enrollment and $22.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
Super soothing hydro massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel spectacular. Zero enrollment, $22.99 a month. Deal ends March 16th. See Club for details.
Straight Talk Wireless now has the new iPhone 13 with cinematic mode, which lets you focus on what matters. And with Straight Talk, you can focus on getting the best deal. Our Silver Unlimited plan is just $45 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data. And it runs on the largest, most dependable network. Now with nationwide 5G. With the iPhone 13 on Straight Talk, you can share whatever you want, wherever you want. Straight Talk Wireless. Available at Walmart. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
RocketGrabPlus.com. Why are you paying full price when you know that you can save money at RocketGrabPlus.com? You can check out our deals right now from Salon Blue Day Spa and Boutique, 120 Fitness, Uplift Creative Center, Woody's Hot Dogs, Wonder Burger, King's Fish and more, and the Hamptons Boutique Tanning and Salon. Half off? Yeah, it's true. And it's all at RocketGrabPlus.com. RocketGrabPlus.com.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
Hello, this is Kareem. We're back with Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. We're here. We're getting ready to have a conversation about what's taking place here in the city of Saginaw. Now, many of you may have been made aware about this, but this is something that hit my table. And it's interesting because I'm often involved in a lot of conversations that take place. And on last Monday, just nearly a week ago tomorrow, I received several texts during the time just before the city, city council meeting was going to take place, and during the city council, and then after the city council meeting, by a number of folks who are concerned about our community. And so I want to have this conversation because I think it impacts you, and I think that people need to know what is happening, what they're being told. If we're being bamboozled, hoodwinked, or shipwrecked. And so I want to talk about this conversation. I'm going to begin this conversation. I wish, Rob, I had sent you those images in advance so that you could pull them up, but it's quite all right. I'll just share with this and I'll tell you what's going on. And as you guys listen, you can go along and I can put those images up in terms of what they plan to do on the Straight Talk website. Now, I want to reference real quick an article on last week. I was notified that, and those of you who know, I'm the pastor of the Potter's Church International Ministries. Our church hails right there on 2nd and on 2nd Street, in between 2nd and 8th Street. And we are there, and we have been there since 2012 doing ministry. That church has been a ministry, a church for longer than Brother Arthur. I remember Brother Arthur's Fish. He used to have it. I believe it was his nephew, Mark, making build it for him initially. Down the street from me, across the street from me is St. John the Baptist, I think, church. Down the street from me is Mount Olive Church. And then there is St. Joe's Church, which is up there on Norman Street, across the street from Mount Olive or thereabouts. There is around the corner from me, just a little bit down, a church by the name of Community Temple Church of God in Christ, if I'm correct. It was a church that I grew up attending when I was a kid. And in there are, sparsely, but there are neighbors and individual citizens who live in that community. 6th and Myrtle is where the Potter's Church is, absolutely, 6th Street. Absolutely. And so I was given some information from a number of different sources. And since then, it has been a further conversation that between 6th Street and 10th Street, from Washington to Norman, they're looking to rezone that portion of the green zone. Now let's back this conversation up, because I think it's important for us to understand what has taken place up until now, and to not just move in a silo, but to understand how we got to where we are with that green zone. So from my understanding, and everybody will be wrong, my understanding may be wrong, but I'm going to tell you what I know. And if I'm incorrect, then y'all can correct me. And individuals who need to listen to this message at 3 a.m. to call me and to talk about it, you could have called me before this conversation took place, and we could have had a more amiable conversation about it. Now, I just got to tell you the truth and tell you the facts as I know it, since nobody thought to bring us into this conversation. So this entire area, everything north of the 675, we've seen things like this happen. We understand that 675 runs through the middle of a community that is largely Black, which is historically what they have done to our communities to degrade our values. Brother Frank Sanders, I see you out there sweating, trying to figure out what in the world is he going to say. I'm going to keep it proper. But that has been typical of what has happened to our communities and our homes We build up communities and values and things of that nature. And then in the public domain comes through with a highway or a bridge or the old 2nd Street, now Roosevelt Austin to 10th Street in that area. Absolutely. All the way to Farewell, I think it's the other street that was there. So just above Mount Olive, if you're that church. It's a large portion of this, but right dab in the middle is the Potter's Church Ministries. We have the land from 6th Street all the way down to 8th Street, which is 2 blocks on both sides. And we have kept the lawn clean and basically had the streets plowed because we don't get those services. There are no residents, so I don't expect the city to do very much, and they don't. So we've taken care of those, and many times the community has tried to make it a dumping zone. Some of those other people that come over there have apartments, but we've been holding it down. And I think a lot of people in that community are showing that they have a sense of pride because we see them buying the lots that are adjacent, trying to keep the community looking nice. But I want to say this with you guys. We have, so this green zone was created because some of the houses over there were abandoned, it was blighted, whatever. And so the green zone was created, I think back in 2008 or 2009, I believe it was, as an effort to revert that portion of the community into what an area where it could return back to its natural state, no building, no anything of that nature. And I think it was John Stemple at the time who was in charge of the land bank. He was like, look, they didn't really want to break up lots and things of that nature. Many of you have gone down and tried to get properties from the land bank only to be turned around. But anyways, this has happened. And when that happened, there was a great outpour and people were upset, but we responded after it took place also once again. But I'm going to tell you how this happened because this slipped up on a brother like myself, and I'm at the city hall. I'm talking to the city manager. We got city manager and the mayor and city council members in here talking about this stuff, and not once did anyone decide to say anything about it. And I think this is just crazy, but this is indicative of what happens in our community by people who say they love our community. And Jeffrey Bullis, I greatly appreciate it. 2001 master plan. Thank you very much, Jamie Forbes, for putting that out there. Now, so it became a green zone. I had issues with that then, and a number of you did. But the idea was that they were going to let it revert back. And I said, what's going to happen is that they're going to make sure that they run certain clientele out of the community, as often happens, plummet those property values. When those values go down, we can bring people in, give them zero tax dollars on bringing their businesses into that community. And then once they come back, we establish a tax base. So they don't pay much taxes in our community for the land that they get. They get what they want. They increase their business, their bottom line, do those types of things. And then in this green zone area, eventually we take this land and we turn it over and create an opportunity for people to come in and make money, where people who lived in that community, who own land, who own property, and could have done some great things, are disenfranchised from that process. And this tends to be a cyclical situation that happens over and over and over again. Well, on this past week, I got notification, as I said, from a number of sources. Hey, Pastor Bowen, did you know that they were taking some land and they were reverting this land that is, you're smack dab in the middle of it, and changing it to light industrial? And I had no clue as to what's going on. And they're like, no. And then the after calls came and they said, no one contacted you? Absolutely not. No one said anything to you? Absolutely not. And so it's interesting because they said that they had reached out to the community and made the community aware of what their desires and what it was that they were doing. So let me tell you how they reached out. I want to put that back up there, Mr. Bulls. They decided, and this is what happened. They said that they sent out mailers, and I'm not telling you what I'm hearing in my head. I went back to, I believe it was the February. I'm looking at this date, the February 22nd, 2022. Go and check out that video. It's on YouTube. It's on the City of Saginaw Planning Commission. I'll make sure I drop the link on Straight Talk and my personal page as well. So start at about the 31-minute mark and go to about 45 minutes into this council. There is a full 15-minute conversation, a discussion about what they were doing. And they asked the question, was the community, Miss Fenobia Dallas, I'm going to tell you, she was being a real champion for our community out there. And in this conversation, and I wish, I'm going to For some of you, I wish I could really show this to you on the screen, but if we did though, Rob, they'll be able to hear the audio though on the radio, right, when we play. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share a piece of this audio that took place because I want you guys to know exactly what's going on. Now I'm going to tell you the players that are in here when I think of the city of Saginaw and people who are making great things happen. They were doing this vote to see if they would move ahead. There is a developer, real estate developer, Michael Keenan. I know Michael from previous real estate deals here in the city of Saginaw. Nice guy. You know, he's serving his interests in terms of doing what it is. He's a real estate developer, and that's what he wants to do. And then you'll hear a large rejection of the proposal from Zenobia Dallas, who's on that planning commission, and she makes the point that there are a number of churches and residents that are in that community, and have they been notified? She makes the statement, you know, that she's at Mount Olive Church, which is right up the street. They are not directly impacted in terms of their land being in it, but they're right across the street from whatever takes place. And so when we talk about light zoning, so we're talking about going from a green zone to a light industrial zone. They asked the question, what is a light industrial zone? And so I want to play this key piece. We also hear Brenda Mayer. She said she wanted to know what was best for the citizens, if they could buy a lot that's on the left side or right side next to them, and that there was full transparency. She was all for the vote. Their words, not mine. So we want to make sure that we do this. And even knowing that the only notification that individuals was given was a postcard, which Zenobia Dallas said, I do not feel that is sufficient. They continue to vote, and our great mayor, Brenda Moore, along with the other individuals, I think the only individual that voted against this particular proposal was Zenobia Dallas. Zenobia Dallas, I applaud you for being a champion in this moment for our community, for looking at what's best for our community and really standing up. Now, I'm a friend. Just because I disagree with you in this moment don't mean we have to disagree for life. But if I see you and I talk to you and you have my number and you call me and we have conversations and you come to my show and we do things together in the community, but you can't let me know what's happening in my backyard, then I got a problem with it. And so we're going to talk about it on today. I'm going to play this quick video. I think I can, if I can. And I just want to make sure that you all are hearing, because if Rob, you can hear it.
You can't send it to me and I'll put it from my end.
Okay, then he's going to absolutely. Okay, we're going to try it from my end first. We're going to see if we can get this going. I would love to share this with you so you guys can hear this for yourself. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but audio is always, our video is always king. All right, so let me pull this up. I think, Rob, you might have to do it from over there because. Okay, so let me do this. I'm going to send you a copy of that video. And I'll just drop it in, and we're going to get this up. And I apologize to you all for not having gotten this there before. This is what Rob always yells at me about. But I think that I was listening and just trying to make sure that we got everything that we needed to have for this conversation. And so I want to make sure that we're able to do so, and you guys can engage and hear in a manner that is going to be sufficient for you. Rob, I've sent that over to you. And so if we can get that going, that would be absolutely amazing. But in the time he's preparing, I want to go back. This is an article that was written in M Live, and I think it's dated January 20th. It was updated January 20, 2019. It was originally published in 2014. Saginaw's Green Zone Plan, not out the window. We all set, Rob? All right, so I want you guys to just listen to this conversation.
Good evening. I am Zenobia Dallas, the chair of the City of Saginaw Planning Commission, and this is a regular meeting of the City Planning Commission. Public comments are permitted during the designated time on the agenda. This allows the public to speak to the Planning Commission about issues of general concern in the community.
We need to move it to 31 minutes.
Give your name and address to the secretary.
Yeah, move to 31 minutes. We're going to get this together for you guys.
As a whole.
The timestamp should be 29:12. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you for putting in the comment stream as well. And we're going to get this together because I want you guys to hear what took place so that you guys can understand what's happening here.
Roosevelt, Austin, which is formerly 2nd Street, and North 10th Street from the mixed use of R2, two-family residential, RO-1 restricted office, and B2 general business to M1 light residential. Is there a staff member here to speak on this case?
Light industrial.
I'm sorry. I did say that. Light industrial.
So we don't have anyone currently interested in the property, but we thought that it would be, because of its position in terms of being on a major road and have access to I-75, we thought that that would be an appropriate place for industrial development. There's approximately 133 parcels within that area. Roughly 103 are vacant parcels. The land bank owns 69 of them. There are 12 residents within that area, 6 businesses, and 3 churches and 1 community center. By rezoning the property, it would create a situation with those folks who have residents as well as the churches and community centers, in the sense that it would make them a legal non-conforming. It would be able to exist as is, and if they wanted to expand, they have the zoning ordinance provides for them to come to the Board of Appeals on Zoning to request a variance on an expansion.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to comment on this case?
Yes, my name is Michael Keenan, just 1689 Vancouver. As a member of the public and involved in commercial real estate development, I think this plan makes excellent sense and would be a very, very good use that could make it marketable and developable for the city, and for the reasons that Mr. Galeen outlined. And I would very much encourage your supporting this motion to rezone to an M1 industrial use.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to comment on this case? Is there anyone else here who would like to comment on this case? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move more.
Second.
All in favor of closing the public hearing, please state your vote by aye.
Aye.
Or nay. Thank you. Commissioners, is there a motion to approve the proposed rezoning of property between North Washington, Orwell, Roosevelt, Austin, and North 10th Street from mixed use of R2, 2-family residential, RO-1 restricted office, and B2 general business to M1 light industrial?
Motion to approve.
Support. Any questions or comments?
Yes. Bob, you know I had a question, don't play. So, I know that we renamed, we haven't officially announced it yet, but we renamed that area. What does that do for the residents? What is that going to do?
After the vote.
It makes the area more attractive for development. So as property sales occur, it potentially could increase the value of their properties.
So with that, will they be able, based on a new ruling in the new name, to purchase land if they wanted to, like we do across the buttocks? Because on Fitzhugh going all the way to James Street, we can buy land. Will they be able to buy land over there? The residents who own, not renters, but who own and are living in the facilities, will they be able to buy the lots? Or we haven't talked about that yet. Which one is it?
Well, I'm not sure we really haven't talked about that, but I think it depends on the location potentially of the lots.
Okay.
Because I think that there's potentially more changes to come if the planning commission is interested. To try and make that area much more attractive to development.
You know, it's been a long time coming for me. Since I've been on council, that's what I pushed from day one. Was to read, yeah, Yolanda, you know, I had many fallouts with people, was to take that out of that title and to put it into a livable situation for the individuals in the community so that they can grow and prosper as well. So I hope that in the near future, I have a problem with this, but I just want to make sure that the residents are part of this solution. I know we talk about transparency, and I really do need us to be transparent right now, because that's an area that has been underserved and underprivileged for a long time to me. And so I think that we need to make sure that we are really transparent with them. If they can buy a lot next to them, I'm not saying buy up a whole block, but I'm saying if they're allowed to, I think that we should make that happen. So
There are areas within the area we're talking about that really are conducive to continuing residential.
Right. But I'm just saying, I know me and you've had this conversation, and I told you I'm okay.
Oh, Rob, can we stop it just one quick second? I want to just kind of bring that back in, and I want to make sure that we're understanding what's going on here as we have this conversation. The idea here is that there's a portion of 375 square acres, excuse me, not square feet, acres of land here that is being proposed. Because remember, it was all supposed to be green zone, but now they want to take 375 acres of this land to turn it into what is considered light industrial land. And in that area, notice that there are churches, there are residents, there are people who are currently inhabiting that land. I think he said there was 160, 170 some lots, 69 of those lots or 140, whatever, are currently owned by the land bank. And so that means that those other lots belong to people who are a viable part of that community, however you may see it. Now, something that I think is very important that our mayor did say that I agree with is that that area of the community has been continually hit since the 80s and the closing of the factories. There's a reason why that community is the way that it is. It didn't just turn that way for any reason, but we had our largest community that was our largest employer, largest tax base, largest bringer of income to the community just rise up and leave, leaving that community impoverished. Those houses that were there, a Bible community that was there, that was left there without a base. And I need you to make sure that you're understanding that it didn't just happen because Black folks were living there, but there were businesses all along that corridor. I grew up on the other side of that bridge, and I used to drive down 6th Street. As a matter of fact, the church that I passed right there on the corner of 6th and Myrtle used to be a bar, the Flamingo Bar. And so it was great to see that bar become now a church. But there was Mamie's Hair Salon and other businesses that were down that 6th Street corridor. And there were businesses and homes everywhere over there. So the green zone allowed it to be turned into a place where no development could take place. So if you had land, notice you could go through the process of a variance, and I've heard of other individuals that were going through, I want to see if I can get a variance, and the variance was denied because that meant you had to go back to the city planning commission. And if they have a plan for what you're trying to do something with, why should we approve that plan? Okay. So I need you all, as a sister, she says, sounds like a done deal. I appreciate Mayor Moore for sharing concerns about the current residents being able to purchase the property. Lisa Coney, I agree with you. I think that sounded really good. But the fact of the matter is, when you know that this is coming to vote, don't ask about the residents after you've cast your vote. How about we table this conversation when you know that the only communication from the residents of that community has been a postcard, and then you'll hear later after Miss Dallas, Zenobia Dallas does a wonderful job, I think, of protecting the interests of that community. She stands up and then she says, listen, so a postcard was good enough. And then the response is, it was also on the city's website or something, a place that none of the people in that community would go. This is an older an older portion of the community that is over there, and they're not going to those places to be notified. This is when you contact them, you set up a meeting with them, you put a notice on their door. You do it for everything else. If they weren't paying their taxes, what do? You put a notice on their property. Trust me, because I have a non-taxable property that has been taxed in that area with the threat of having it taken away from me. So I just want to say what's going on, okay? I think that this is important. And I know that we love people and we have fondness for people. But the fact of the matter is, if you are for the people of this community in this particular case, what should have taken was like, we abstain from voting until we can adequately contact the people who are part of that community. We need to talk to Pastor Smith. We need to talk to the individuals that are in that community, those residents, and see what they are saying and what's going on. All right.
Have a public hearing about it.
You have a public. That's exactly what you do. And I say this because I don't have any, I love our mayor. We're great friends. We talk about things that we're going to do in the community. She's been there for me. I've been there for her. But in this particular situation, I particularly feel that this body has a plan in mind, and the residents' welfare or their well-being is not at hand. So I want to go ahead and let's pick this conversation up, because we're going to hear Phenobia come in and to make that conversation. Michael Flores, I hear you out there, yo. I did that. I'm glad. I want to give you your 5 minutes of fame, because you seem to want to have this attention, Mr. Flores. And I appreciate what you do. It's not a hard thing to be, a citizen of the city and to go out there and to work. It's a thankless job that no one gets appreciated for. But I would love for you to be a bit more of a team player with your city council and have some discussions and, some opposite views with them instead of undermining that process. That's what I want from my city leadership. Thank you so very much. Go ahead, Rob. We're going to go and we'll get the rest of these comments.
Would be allowed to purchase. So I'm good with it. As long as we're transparent, I'm good with it.
I'm actually opposed to this change. I'm looking at a map, and the area that you've designated to be rezoned as light industrial, it's 2 blocks from my church, Mount Olive. It's a block from Mount Sinai. It's a block from Restoration Community Outreach. It's 2 blocks from New Galilee Full Gospel. It's down the street from United Church of God in Christ, and it's right next door to First Ward Community Center. So what I'm looking at is the choice to remove the possibility of people who live in those areas and the churches who serve those communities to be faced with light industrial, not across the street on Washington, but in their backyards. That's the problem I have. I know we're trying to remove the Green Reserve Opportunity Area stigma, but just as we did with the previous case, there is the designation for urban venture area. That's what I would like to see in that area. I'm again opposed to this rezoning because it does not fit for me in terms of what to do with people who actually live in that community, where they're now going to face possible light industrial businesses on that side of the street. I have just a very bad feeling about that. Those are my thoughts.
So tell us what's light industrial.
There's a list in the report that shows what's available.
Light industrial.
One thing I do want to mention that comes along with being located next to any residential uses is a buffer. So they would be required to put up privacy fences and landscaping, if that does help at all. And as Bob stated, nobody is ever kicked out. It is a legal non-conforming use. Anything that is already there, if it does not fit that M1 zone. But majority of it is vacant land that can then be assembled into larger acreage, which will be more attractive to different types of businesses.
M1 permitted uses are assembly, fabrication, manufacture, packaging, or treatment of such products. Assembly, fabrication, manufacture, or treatment of such products, it said twice. Wholesale bakeries, buffing, polishing, or electric plating, excluding heat-treated furnaces, building supply, solid fuel businesses, or contracting firms with incidental storage yards on the same lot, including building and allied craft contractors, subject to standards established in the ordinance 153.455 through 153.491, central dry cleaning plants and laundries, laboratories, research or testing, tool and die shops. Do you understand what I'm talking about, Madam
Yes, I do.
Mayor?
Yes, I do. However, you know we got to go round and around. There on Washington Street in that little strip, there used to be a cleaners. There used to be these things in that area. I remember CIO Hall, the bowling alley. Okay, now I do have a problem with another plant. But these areas that we picked, and I heard you say buffer. So that means even with the fence, I guess, because the area has been neglected, let's be honest, neglected so long, it's going to take a lot to bring it back. And so in passing this to making it that, I don't want to see it be a marijuana growth place. I don't want to see any of that over there. I mean, maybe that's being real hard.
It's permitted by special use, Madam Mayor.
It's permitted
I'm sorry.
right now in B2s as well, which.
But it's permitted in
But
B2,
retail.
but they also come in front of us, so, you know.
Exactly.
I'm looking at our attorney.
Mhm.
And so, I know, Miss Amy, I put you on the spot all the time. You know what? I want to see the city grow, and I want to see the city move forward, and I truly do. But I don't want to see it move forward at the expense of hurting the citizens. I don't. I think that the game plan is good. But we talked about it, and I told you then, I'm good with it, as long as it is something that's going to be conducive for the neighbors and the neighborhood. You know, I guess I didn't look at all the churches because it is probably 1, 2, 3, 4. When I add up, I think it's like 6 churches, 7 churches in a row. You ain't got to count them. I already know, okay? I've been here all my life. So.
Well, and with that many churches, it might affect the ability for like a marijuana.
See, that's what I
to
thought.
go in because of the buffer zone and the setbacks. So there's those considerations that play into it.
Chair Dallas.
Yes, ma'am.
It may affect because all of them churches, you know, it's churches right around the corner.
I drive by 7 churches on my way to church.
That's right. So that means that neighborhood should be holy. Should be a whole lot of praying going on over there.
Any
I
other
also
comments?
want to just inform you guys one more thing. Everybody within that district received a postcard, and everybody within 300 feet of that
And everybody,
district
what,
received-
say that again?
Everybody within that district, every property owner and every property. So anybody who lives there received a postcard, and everybody within 300 feet of that buffer, within those properties.
I know, I
received a
got family
postcard
sitting
as
in the
well.
back. They live in that area. And they showed up.
Yeah,
But they didn't speak.
No, they didn't speak.
Did you receive any public written comments, Bob?
I did not. I did receive a call from someone trying to understand what we were trying to do, and he didn't seem to have much of a problem with it.
So you explained it?
Mhm.
All right, Mr. Bob.
It's also always, I don't think we ever mentioned this, but it also gets posted in MLive and in the clerk's office.
Any other comments or questions from the commission?
Just a comment from me is, I understand what Mayor Moore is talking about, and me as well. We don't want, Brenda, I'm sorry, the planning commission.
Mayor Moore.
What Brenda is saying, and we want to move the city forward, but we don't want to hurt it. So with that said, even with me in the Cathedral District, I would hope that we wouldn't get like a fabrication, like a metal plant, because I get, trust me, I get calls. I'm not going to say the company, but you can hear the pounding of the stamping that takes place. And at night in the city, it's like a ripple effect across the water. So if this does get rezoned, I would hope that there would be smaller shops, restaurants, maybe like detailing shops, things that would be there. That would be my hope.
So that means you can start looking for businesses to go over there. That's what that
I'm
means.
still looking.
You start looking.
I'm still talking. So if anybody's watching, call me.
Any other comments, questions? Staff Zimmerman, will you take a roll call vote, please?
All right, everybody. We want to thank you guys for tuning into that conversation. As I said, I'm not here to villainize anyone. I let your own words speak. Your own words speak for you. I just want to say I certainly want to thank Zenobia Dallas, Ms. Zenobia Dallas. She stood up, I believe, for what the community has, and her vote spoke likewise. When the vote came down to it, she was the only person who opposed for that designation to take place. So I certainly thank you for standing up for the people out here in Lane Cook. Really, Mayor, postcard, really, I usually throw postcards away. Why not flyers or knocking on doors to inform people of the community? Jay Garth, who was a civil engineer and has done projects in Michigan, shared with how they had to communicate with their citizens whenever there's a road, sewer projects, anything that impacted the streets of the citizens physically. They had to make sure that they were all notified. I'm just telling you, we were listening before on Joyce Harvard's show about what was going down, and I believe that when these things happen, you find out where your loyalties lie. And I'm not saying that people don't make decisions that are going to be against who you are. I'm just saying that I think that people need to be accountable for the decisions that they make. And votes like this, when you are part of the community, and you are in the seeing these people and these pastors in your face, and they're supporting you and you support them. And we talk about better Saginaw. You're absolutely right, Baki. We need to be more aware, and I think transparent. I think this was done in the shroud of darkness, and this is disparate. This is what I consider the continuation of the disparate treatment of folks who live in that area. First, it was General Motors, and it was the Blight, and it was turning it into a green zone. Now the city area, the city is trying to now take up the land and do some light industrial. So why don't we? And Jeff Bulls, you said it perfectly, that the what is pollution and the levels of pollution is different for light industrial than what it was environmentally for homes. And so that's a whole other conversation that needs to be had. Lisa Coney, I see your statement. You said that the vote can possibly be rescinded with residential input. Well, I plan to be one of those individuals who is going to be making some comments and things that I really would like to have said out there. Baki, I see you. Marijuana dispensaries, how many do we need? We need more residential development in our city. Now, if you want to talk about affordable housing, you got a whole bunch of land over there. There was a situation over there. They build these houses or townhomes in our community, and then they don't allow you to buy them. And so they want us to continue in the idea of having this renter's mentality, because when you don't rent, you don't take care of the things that it's not yours. So you don't have the same mindset when you have ownership. What they did over there across from the Fairground Road in that beautiful community where those Black citizens were building a rich, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 homes to put up a number of homes that people could not buy. It's not about the tenants. It's about the system that is at play when you put houses up and say, we gave you a nice community, you tore it down because you didn't allow me to own it as part of the problem. Jeffrey Bush, thank you for putting this on blast, Kareem. The people need to hear how our leaders operate. This isn't new. This is very shameful. I agree. They want redone, but okay. You're having some echoing. I certainly want to thank you guys. I just want you to know, so those of you who are part of that community, I know that I will be making my voice heard, reaching out to the parties that be, because this is unacceptable. What we need more in our community than anything else, we need some affordable housing. If you want affordable housing, we got a whole bunch of land. You don't like the land. The problem is if we keep it light industrial, we don't have to worry about doing the soil test and spending the investment in really making that land environmentally safe, which means cleaning out all of the stuff that has been poured over there over the years for the tax breaks for General Motors, who high and dry leftists. We need to have that conversation. All right. So I want to thank you guys for being involved in this conversation, staying tuned, staying focused, stay straight, keep involved, because we want to make sure that we do what is necessary that we do our part. And so sometimes, as you see, it's not about us missing the mark. It's about us never being invited into the conversation. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I love you guys all. We go get this taken care of. Grace and peace. God bless you all. Start knocking on those doors. We got you, Miss Cook. God bless you all. Grace and peace.
You've been listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1. The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen by the host, its guest, or call-ins do not necessarily represent the opinion of this station, the staff, its owners, Alpha Media USA, or its advertisers.
KISS 107.1 is WTLZ Saginaw with Steve Harvey in the morning and simply the best R&B all day. Take us everywhere. Your smartphone, in